2 seconds. Look this way, please.
Oh my god, because it's a colonizer food. Spring is upon us. I can feel it. Today's clear skies calm my impatience for blossoming flowers, cheery birds, and generous sunshine. As you all may remember, rain has been my unwanted companion for the last couple of weeks now. But today is different. Today, the rain has retired and the sun has taken hold of the narrative. Welcome back, friends, and welcome to a dry, sunny day in the west of Scotland. I'm at Culzean this morning, which is an 18th century castle that is perched up on the cliffs of Ayrshire, overlooking the Firth of Clyde. The castle was built for the Kennedy family, one of the oldest clans of Scotland whose ancestry can be traced back to Robert the Bruce. As a person of color and committed ally, I do need to point something else out about this location. While we can marvel at the splendor of the castle and its gardens, I would like to highlight that Culzean Castle profited from the trade of human beings, which we all know as the transatlantic slave trade. I know it's not the pretty side to history and it taints the structural beauty of the entire estate. However, I think we deserve to have this information presented to us so we can get into the practice of learning from the past and doing better. It's like my sketching practice. Without bringing pen to paper on a regular basis, I wouldn't be able to understand the direction I would like to grow as an artist. And speaking of sketching, I've decided to put the wisdom of my teacher, Toby Sketchloose, into practice here at Culzean. The goal is to get in as many sketches as possible by focusing on the basic shapes of my subjects and worrying about the detail later. For my first sketch, I found a nice, comfy seat in the sun. Because it was a still day, I didn't have to worry about my tote or hair flying about. It was a perfect day. I chose one of the archways to be my first subject. The castle grounds felt empty. I had never been here without having crowds of families walking about. I could hear my pen moving on the paper. I could hear my thoughts, strategizing how I should lay out my lines. I could hear my breath, calmly taking in the fresh air and smelling a bit of the sea that was to my left. While I don't mind sketching from a reference photo, there's nothing like having the time to sketch outside, right next, or across from your subject, and being present in your environment. Sketching reminds me that I need to pay attention to the little details of life more often, that I need to get out in nature more often, that the silence of being outside, away from screens, is nourishing for the mind and soul. That nature refreshes my perspective on and love for life. In a world where we tend to define who we are based on our productivity, it's sometimes hard to accept that we need to slow down. I enjoy sketching because it allows me to develop my creativity and tap into skills that I've always wanted to learn. And yet, that's not why I've fallen in love with sketching. I love sketching because it silences my mind, and for a moment, I can let go of my anxiety about everything, about being so far away from my culture, about feeling so behind in life, about having to reroute again, about checking off my bucket list of adventures before I'm too old, just to name a few. And that doesn't even include all my anxieties regarding the condition of our society. Going out for a run used to ground me. It used to be my go-to if I needed to metaphorically fly and top up my self-esteem. Running lost its ability to empower me after experiencing trauma here in Scotland. Art found me when I needed it the most, when I needed to return to my inner child, my inner niña. And I have my sister to thank for reminding me to listen to my inner niña. My sister reminded me about my fascination with art. She urged me to let it take up space in my life now. As I sit here sketching this archway with my Toby sunbathing in front of me and my husband behind the camera, I can honestly say that I never expected I would move forward in this way. I'm a middle child. I'm the eldest daughter. My sister is 5 years younger than me. She's the baby of the family. You would think I'd be the one imparting wisdom onto my sister, helping her find out who she is, but it's been the other way around, really. Deep down, I think my sister always had faith in my creativity. Over her 34 years of life, Not once has she dismissed my interest to pursue the untraditional. She listened. My sister never really saw me drawing when we were growing up, but perhaps she saw a spark when I momentarily threw myself into painting and bought oil paints, brushes, and canvases. The result was 2 oil-based paintings that now hang on the walls of my parents' home. And speaking of results, I think that's me done with sketching the archway. Time to stretch the legs a bit and move on to the next subject. I was inspired to sketch the actual castle from where I stood, near the edge along the coast. The trees are still bare from winter's grasp, but that doesn't take away from the view. Blue waters and sunlight casting a glow at certain angles over the castle. This sketch would be a little more extensive than the archway. All the geometric shapes bunched up together from this angle made the castle look appealing and challenging to sketch. I stood there, letting my hand be guided by my eyes. Friends, do beautiful moments in life make you miss specific people? As I stand here sketching the scene before me, I can't help but think of my sister. She's an explorer at heart, and every time I step onto the grounds of a castle, or the top of a hill, where I see views that leave me speechless, I find myself thinking, if only my sister were here. Not a day goes by that I don't miss her. Whenever we are together, it never feels like we have enough time. But when we are together, I feel light, happy, and safe. When we are together, the world makes sense. The world feels less daunting. When my sister's at my side, I feel more hopeful about everything. In a perfect world, my sister and I would be neighbors, enjoying walks in nature, dips in the sea, and all the tea and scones. Sketching Culzean Castle reminds me how lucky I am to have a sister who not only has a strong curiosity for cultures and history, but who understands the need to align passion with career. I should mention that I'm still sketching with my 0.4mm pen and sketch pad. I've placed my order for my new supplies and they have yet to be delivered. As you can see, no pencils in sight, just pen. I've slowly adjusted. I'm also wrapping up my 1-week course with Toby Sketch Loose this week, and I'm happy to announce that I'll be moving on to his beginner course on ink and watercolors. After sketching in the naked trees into my scene, I felt my sketch was complete. I've yet to take the extra step of putting together a full art kit to bring with me whenever I sketch outside. I would love to add color to my scenes with my references right in front of me, but one step at a time. I don't want to overcomplicate anything for the time being. It was finally time to move to the next sketching location, and Toby could not be more pleased. I love Toby with all my heart, but he has zero patience. He wants to explore nonstop and doesn't understand the need for breaks. The times he's begun to whine on the side of a mountain because we needed to stop and catch our breath has been way too many to count. All around me, I could see and smell the oncoming arrival of spring. My heavy winter coat will soon have to be stored away in our attic. As lovely as spring can be, I love summer. Don't get me wrong, summer in Scotland is pretty. The mountains, the lochs, the quarries, the beaches, but Scotland just doesn't have the heat that I'm used to. As a kid in Chicago, I remember having to sleep on the floor in the living room where we had the AC on because the rest of our apartment was way too warm. That's how I knew that summer had arrived as a kid. Sleeping on the floor with blankets layered and pillows all around me. I guess that became our little family tradition. Regardless, I'm looking forward to walking down more paths like this throughout Scotland and its beautiful landscape, with its rays of sunshine slicing through and lighting up the different textures of leaves and moss and heather. It's amazing to see how many shades of greens there are along this path. Some are more yellow, others are more teal. Why can't all days be like this? We eventually came around a corner and I debated whether this would be another sketching spot. I spotted a secluded beach. Everything about this scene was calming. The blues, greens, and yellows were vibrant. It's hard not to be in a good mood when all of this surrounds you. I decided to keep walking though. I felt there might be something more grand to sketch. Note to self, bring out the sunglasses next time. While Toby was pulling in all directions, I knew I had to stop. This very spot would be where I would sketch for the third time. The trees looked like wispy pom-poms. They looked tropical. I sketched aiming to get all the aisle of trees in along with the castle wall and as much as the castle as possible. Everything about Culzean Castle is bougie. Nothing is subtle here. The term bougie takes me back to my sister. My little sister has a taste for the finer things of life, from clothes to travel. And while I claim that I'm nothing like that, I find myself inclined to purchasing high-quality trekking gear and looking at trekking expeditions in Asia and South America. We are more alike than I think. Actually, right now, I think my sister and I are more alike than ever before. You see, as far as I can remember, my sister has had a fiery zeal for life. She has really lived, acted upon what she understood was right for her, and then defended it with all her power and energy. I, on the other hand, have been too timid to defend me for most of my life. When I was in my tweens, I remember a close family friend once commenting to me that I just didn't have the same enthusiasm to live like my sister. This, of course, was not meant to offend me. It was a mere observation. I didn't know how to respond. That comment has stuck. And well, I think this close family friend would retract that statement now. I've become fiery in my own way. I've said no and have used my voice. I've stepped away and set boundaries. I've given myself time and space to know what is right for me. I've quickly filled up this page. I'll be looking forward to adding a bit of watercolor to see how the water moves and what character it gives the castle. It's pretty incredible how I managed to sketch 3 subjects all within an hour. The few tips and tricks that Toby Sketchaloose has provided me in his free week-long course has already helped me so much. It's amazing how learning through online courses can be so effective without being physically in a classroom with someone. It's kind of like my sister not being here in Scotland with me. Although I can't have her laughing at my side because she's on the other side of the world teaching and working on her PhD, she is with me. Her lessons, her jokes, her expressions, every single day. Right, I think I'm all sketched out for the day. Friends, you'll have to stick around until next week or so to see how these sketches turn out with watercolor. Alright, I guess it's up to Toby now to take me home. I think this might be a long walk back to the van. Friends, I hope you enjoyed your time in Culzean with me. I dedicated my time to mostly talking about my sister because I wouldn't be here today in front of you working on my art and creating content for you in this way without her push. Friends, if you can, make some time for that one person who's never left your side and express your appreciation for them. I was raised by parents who believe that we don't arrive on our own, that we arrive in community, and I think that's a beautiful message. Alright friends, that's enough for now. See you next week.